So every once in a while a client has a need for a parts drawing or a parts diagram and one doesn't exist. And sometimes that client can be helped by literally just taking one apart or showing the internals. This client had a piece jump out on them, and luckily the client, from what I understand, was able to salvage or find the missing parts. So what we're going to do is we're going to investigate how to help this client. This client has a CL12, or what used to be the BB Large by Glenn Johnson many years ago. It's now called the Ives CL12. We're going to remove this cover and we're going to take a closer look at what's inside of here. There's not many parts. The point being is that the client's not sure exactly where the spring needs to be oriented, but taking that cover off is going to allow us to figure it out. So let's do that right now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. I haven't had one of these taken apart in a little while, but I have taken them apart to simply discover what their secret was. There's really not much to this Ives latch. A couple of screws, plastic case back here. The spring is obviously going to control the pusher component of this, but it also has to have something to do with the actual operation of the keeper itself. So this screw is threading into plastic, so you're going to want to not over tighten it. It has the ability to strip that plastic. You don't want to take it apart any more than you need to. And I'm with my finger and with my fourth finger and thumb, I'm keeping that cover in place. I don't want anything to spring out at me. But if my memory serves, there's not much inside of here. So let's take that apart. Okay, so that's super simple. Super simple. So there are two springs in here. I don't know what the proper term for this spring is. I would call it some sort of a flat spring. And it's probably this spring that the client's really having the concern with. Because it doesn't look like, it's pretty obvious how this spring has to go. That's pretty obvious. Not much to that. We could pull that out and put it right back in. But this bottom spring down here, yeah, that's probably what the case is. That probably looks a little weird when it comes out, too. You don't know how to put it back. So let's investigate. I know we're getting some glare from the overhead light. Yeah. Okay, so you've got a little plastic washer here. That's going to come off. That little doodad came out. And at this point, you'll have that retaining spring that's there. Or, pardon me, pin. That pin's going to go in. I'd probably put the spring can really only go in one way. I mean, it can only go in one way in the sense of, because of how it's coiled down here. It's going to be pretty obvious. That pin will go back in there. Your arm is going to go in there. We'll get rid of the rotating tab, so to speak. Yeah, and there's a plastic post that's here that's keeping that in place. My tripper will go back on. My plastic washer will go back on. My cover will come back on. Then we'll screw it together. Yeah. So concern that I'm having is putting this back in the proper orientation. You really can't see that very well. It's because there's no contrast. The concern is getting this piece put back in the right orientation. I'm relatively sure it's in the right orientation. It can go in this way or this way, but I'm going to confirm that before completing this video by rolling back the footage, so to speak. But it fits in really well in both of the instances. It doesn't look like it fits as well when it was in the reversed position. So the bottom line is, let's take a look at that again. Spring is going to be just like it's seen here. That little coiled end is going to go down here. The tripper is going to be biased towards the front end, just like that. Okay. Plastic post is back here. That's going to help keep it in place. That washer is going to go here. That brass pin is going to go here. It can't be that spring. That's too obvious. It must have been this that moved on the client, because that's the one that requires a little bit of further scrutiny. So back together. Going to hold that down. Yeah, it says right on there BB. Okay, that's nice and tight. Put that screw back in there. And sometimes it's nice. You know, what I do when I'm servicing a lock and there is no parts manual for it, let's say I'm looking at a lock that maybe is several decades old, I take a photograph of that before I do anything, so if I have to go back and refer to it. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. That's it. If you have any questions on how that CL12 works, in the CL11, I don't recall having the cover off on the smaller version of this, but I can't help but assume it's going to be the same, if not extremely similar. Like I was saying earlier, if you're about to get yourself into working on a piece of hardware and you don't have a safety net, so to speak, like a manual, you might want to take some photographs. I've taken apart some mortise locks in the past, and what happens is as soon as you remove that cover like I was doing earlier, you hear a click and a shift. Something just moved. Okay, so you want to proceed with caution. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 7 different pieces in here that I can count. So a lot of parts in here that you don't want to end up finding out the hard way moved on you. Even though it's relatively simple, I suppose that you do gain maybe some skill when you spend part of your career trying to solve hardware puzzles like this into someone who just wants a touch latch to be installed and it just got sideways on them. They just need a quick answer, and hopefully this answer was the quick answer. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.